Well, hey there, my friend. Today we are talking about the famous artist formula. If you want more exposure for your art, there's definitely a formula to it, and that's what we are here to talk about. So I want to do a really, really quick sound check. If you are live with me, write down in the comments how much snow you have, because I know it's snowing all over the country in like weird places like Texas. And if there's no snow where you are, just put a 0 in the chat. I would love to see who's here with me live. So chat away. And I'm going to, while we're waiting for those comments to come in, I'm going to move ahead and we'll talk about what we've got here today. All right. So, hey, everybody. I'm Miriam Schulman. In case we haven't met, I want to know, raise your hand if you want more visibility for your art. And I'm talking about without paid advertising. And since I can't see if you're raising your hand, why don't you click the like button if you want more visibility for your art so I can see who wants more. Awesome. All right. And who here feels like there's a lot of competition out there and it's hard to stand out sometimes? So if you feel that's you, can you in the chat say, yep, I hear you. Okay, awesome. I mean, we don't like to feel that it's hard to stand out, but you're in the right place if that's how you feel. That's what we're talking about today. So here's how you know if you're in the right place. If you want your art to stand out from the crowd, if you want your art to be discovered, if you want to find high-end art collectors, who is this resonating with? Let me hear from you in the chat. So I'm going to take a peek really fast to see who's here. Yep. No snow in Vegas. Hey, Eric, nice to see you. And Maria, definitely. Okay, beautiful. We're going to move ahead. All right. So if you want to be a famous artist, there's a definite formula to it. I have a case study prepared for you that's going to blow your mind. If you want to take notes, you can. If not, just hang back and be inspired. So there are 3 ways and only 3 ways to build a big following of raving fans. The first way is to have a big platform like a podcast or a blog or a huge social media following or write a book or something like that. That is one way. The second way is free publicity, getting your art featured in magazines and articles and being invited to other people's podcasts. That's the free way. Or you can pay to have your art featured in magazines. That is the third way. And this applies not just to visual artists. These are really the 3 ways to build a following: your platforms, other people's platforms, and paid platforms. If you think you can get there just with social media, what I've noticed is that people who become famous on Instagram first become famous off of Instagram. Here's a great example. Ashley Longshore. So I am going to peek at the comments. Let me know if you've heard of this artist, Ashley Longshore. And if you haven't, no judgment. I'm going to introduce you to her right now and break down why she has such huge success. Okay. So first of all, she has over 300,000 followers on Instagram. But you know what else she has? And she did this first. Lots of press. I mean, like a ridiculous amount of press. Now, if you go to her Instagram account, she has on her highlights a whole highlight reel on press and a second highlight just for her press in the New York Times. She's created a press kit, but she didn't do this herself. She hired a publicist. What does a publicist cost? A publicist is going to cost you around $3,000 a month, most likely more. And usually they want a retainer, which means you can't just work with them for a month and that's it. They're going to want to work with you for like 3 to 6 months because it takes a while to gain traction. Now, you don't have to pay a publicist. That is not what we're talking about today. You don't have to do that because it's pretty straightforward to get the press yourself, and I've been doing it for years. So if you're wondering if this sells your art, does. For Ashley, her press led to celebrity collectors like Blake Lively and bigger press opportunities like Project Runway and collaborations with designers like Diane von Furstenberg, which led to more press, of course. So, if you want more publicity, what can you do? Well, I recommend that you get 2 resources. The first one is I've curated the top 20 media outlets for artists. I want to hear from you. Let me know. Oh, Erica, you've heard of Ashley. Awesome. Okay. So, yeah, people like her. She's really a riot. So if you've already gotten this, let me know in the comments. But if you haven't and you want it, let me know also, because I want to make sure everyone who's watching this, whether you're watching on replay or watching it live, can get their hands on it. We just want to make sure everybody gets it because we worked really hard on this so that you don't have to. So this includes media outlets outside of the US, because I know I have an international audience, so you should know all these outlets. And whether you think you're ready for press or not, it's a really good idea to get your hands on this so that you can get inspired. People are always asking me, how do I come up with ideas? How do I stay inspired? One of the ways is I am a voracious reader and I love subscribing to magazines so that I can get different inputs of ideas. All right. So let me know if you want the media list. Type that in the comments. Okay. I would love to get this. All right. We will make sure you get it. But, oh yeah, comment below with the word media if you want it. That way we know that you don't have it yet, but you want it. We'll give you the link, but we're going to make sure we follow up with everybody who puts the word media in the chat. Okay, good. There's a lot of people who want it. All right. Next, if you're interested in getting more exposure for your art, I've got a second guide for you. So this publicity guide was put together by my good friend Selena. It's really, really good. I want to tell you what it is. Basically, it will tell you what ideas you need to be pitching to the press if you want them to feature you. And you can even, again, so both resources, I designed it for people who want to get more press, but even if you feel like you're not ready for that yet, what's really great about this publicity calendar is you can use it for your own platforms, for your own Instagram, for your own Facebook, for your own blog, for your own email list. Let me give you some examples of how this works for artists. So I want to give you examples that the members inside the Artist Incubator are using to create their own content for their blogs and to pitch stories to the press. So here are some story ideas. So inside this guide, there's an idea on page 13 that led to an idea how to create a pitch about how art improves mental health. An idea on page 14 led to an idea for pitching art to interior design magazines. And an idea on page 17 was perfect for a pet portrait artist. So, are you intrigued? Do you want to get your hands on this guide? Who is ready for links? And by the way, if you want that guide, I don't think we have a magic word for that. So media is if you want the media kit. If you want the guide with all those ideas, could you put the word guide in the comments below? All right. So let me know if you want the media list, put the word media. Whoops, going too fast. If you want the guide, just put the word guide so then I know that you need that one also. We're going to give you the links as well, but I know you guys are busy, and just in case, I want to make sure that we follow up with everybody. Okay, so if you want the media list, you can go to schulmanart.com/media. Got it? Okay, now who wants the publicity calendar? Let me know in the chat if you want that publicity calendar. And again, you can just say, okay, great. There's a lot of people who want the guide. There's a lot of people who want both. You can get both. You don't have to choose. You can. We created these resources and we want you to have them. Okay, beautiful. All right, to get Selena's free 2021 publicity calendar, she calls it a calendar because she breaks down all the ideas month by month by month. Like some ideas are better for Valentine's Day, some ideas are better for March because of spring cleaning, maybe because some ideas it's Autism Awareness Month or it's Women History Month. So that's why she's broken it down by 12 months, but it really is a guide for how to use ideas to create stories. And you can use those stories, as I said, to pitch the press, because that's what we're talking about today. But even if you feel like you're not ready for that yet, you can use these stories for your own content, whether that's your emails, your blogs. Who gets stuck for Instagram captions? I know I do. So this is a really great resource for you, no matter what you want to use it for. Okay, beautiful. Make sure you get it. Write it down right now. Or you know what? You don't have to listen to me. Go to another tab and type this into your browser and grab it right away before you forget. All right, so I do have time for some takeaway and questions. While I am waiting for you guys to do the takeaways and put those in, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave this URL up a little longer to make sure that you got it. Okay, and Anna's going to help me out. There is a delay between when I say, hey, it's time for questions, and when people post it, and then I don't always see it right away. So don't think I'm ignoring you. I just haven't seen it yet. All right, so I just want to give some shout outs to Michelle's here, Julie's in the house, Sherry, Patricia, Eric, Maria. Thanks so much for joining me. It's so much fun when people are here with me live. And I'm streaming this in a few places, but we're inside the Artist Profit Lab. And that's where I'm seeing most of the comments. All right, so I would love to hear people's greatest takeaway. What did you think of Ashley Longshore? And I just want to explain a little bit about why that press created that Instagram following, because a lot of times you look at somebody from the outside and you say, oh, well, of course she's selling art because she has 300,000 Instagram followers. So maybe I need to build an Instagram account. But here's the thing. Okay, so she was featured in Vogue. All right. So when she was featured in Vogue, Vogue magazine tagged her. And now all those people who follow Vogue, like I don't even know how many people follow Vogue. I think it's in the millions. Then they go over and check her out and start following her. So having this huge press machine is what is built her Instagram account. So it looks like she is getting all these opportunities because of Instagram, but it's really the press that are creating these opportunities. And once you get an opportunity, each opportunity leads to another opportunity. So she has a show in Bergdorf that led to the show in with Diane van Furstenberg. And then both of those opportunities led to the Project Runway. So you see how that works? So everything starts to build onto each other until suddenly you have a huge following. Okay. All right. Yeah. A lot of people love Ashley Longshore. That is true. Yeah. Her studio is incredible. Okay. So I do have a question here. What are best practices to build IG follower audiences? So what we're talking about today is if you want a big following on these platforms, you need to do press. You need to get known off of social media. That is the best way to build a following on social media, and start local. You don't have to get a feature in Vogue magazine. See, if you can get a feature even in your local newspaper, those people are the ones who are going to want to follow you. Oh, Adriana has an art account, and if you have an article that gets picked up by the local paper, that's so much easier to do. If you go back and look at the publicity that I had, and just go back to hold on. Where was it? These are just local papers. But this made a huge difference for me for selling art, because I became a micro celebrity in my local area, and people saw me as their go-to artist. So when they wanted to commission a portrait, they thought of me first. So you want to be that local celebrity first. And it's so much easier to get a press feature in your local paper, and especially now with COVID. Let me just say that because the media is starving for news. They don't have sports to write about. They don't have school events to write about. So if you can be that artist that gives them a story and a beautiful picture to go with it, they will feature you. Okay, so great question. I'm glad you asked it. Okay, sure, no problem. Okay, so I'm just gonna wait 1 minute more. Yeah, if you're driving, I don't want anyone to have an accident driving. So if you cannot go to that URL right now, but you can just type the word in the chat, we will private message you. So you want to check your Facebook inbox, and we will message you and make sure you get the link there. Art shows will begin to ramp up again countrywide, especially in places here like Las Vegas. Yeah, Eric. So what I would encourage you to do is don't rely on the local show promotions to get publicity. What I've done so many times is when I'm in a group show, I would submit to a local paper, let's say in Vegas, letting them know that this is your art and you're the featured artist, and what the message is behind your art, because that's the story they'd be interested. They don't want to just put like a free ad in the paper. So you really have to spin it as a story. And that's where Selena's publicity guide really comes in handy, because these media outlets, they're looking for stories. So your art kind of illustrates the story that you're providing them. And of course, then the call to action is that people are going to come check you out at that show, but you need to have some sort of story. So Eric, I know you do political art, so there may be something that you can weave around an event. And I know her publicity guide does a really good job of talking about how to use those kinds of political and cultural events to create a story around it. Okay, Adrienne, I love nature and constantly post photos. Great advice to add stories. Yeah, people are looking for stories. And the other thing I would say, since you're asking me about Instagram, what's most important is not how many people are following you. What's more important are how many people are you interacting with. So you can post things, and it doesn't matter if 10 people like it or 100 people like it. If 10 people like it, and you direct message all 10 of those people and say, hey, thanks so much for your interest in my art. Would you like to join my VIP list? Would you like to join my email list? That's huge. That's what's important. That's what Instagram is for. It's socializing. It's a social media network. It's not for publicity. It's for socializing. So if you use it that way, you will have so much more success in the long run with nurturing those types of relationships that you're finding and nurturing those people. All right. So I think we got to the end of today. Oops, we have one more comment. Yes. So here's the thing, Sharon. So I just want to read what Sharon says. I'm a singer-songwriter as well as an artist. Should I advertise these as two separate entities? So what we're talking about, Sharon, is getting free publicity. So I think it's a beautiful thing if you could create a story that integrates your singing and your role as an artist. How can you integrate it? And what it is about coming up with stories. Now, you may have an easier time coming up with a story having to do around your music, and that's a story you might pitch to the press. You might have a story that's about your art, and that you pitch to the press. Or you might have a story about how, that is an integration of both things. The more you can integrate yourself as a complete human with everything about you that makes you interesting, the more success you're going to have. So thank you for that. Okay, so I think now we reached the end. I hope everybody got a lot out of today. That's all I got for you. All right, so I will see you here, same time, same place next week. I'm trying to stick to 2:00 Eastern time. I hope that works out for a lot of people on Thursdays, and I will see you next week with more good stuff. Bye, everybody.